A dirty air filter is silently destroying your engine right now. You might not realize it, but something as simple and inexpensive as an air filter can accelerate wear on internal engine components, reduce your fuel economy, damage your catalytic converter, and create a cascade of problems that cost thousands to fix. After 20 years of diagnosing engine problems and seeing the damage that neglected air filters cause, I'm going to show you exactly what happens when airflow gets restricted, why it matters more than people think, and how to prevent it. Let's get into it. First, let's understand what an air filter actually does. Your engine needs three things to run: fuel, spark, and air. Lots of air. A typical four-cylinder engine at idle sucks in about 150 cubic feet of air per minute. At highway speeds, that goes up dramatically. That air needs to be clean because any dirt, dust, or debris that enters the combustion chamber will cause wear on piston rings, cylinder walls, and valve seats. The air filter's job is to remove that debris before the air reaches the engine. A clean air filter has minimal resistance to airflow. Air flows freely through the filter media into the engine. But as the filter collects dust and debris, it becomes progressively more restrictive. The filter media clogs. Airflow decreases. The engine is now pulling in less air than it needs. Here's where the damage starts. When an engine doesn't get enough air, the fuel injectors don't know that. They're programmed to inject a certain amount of fuel based on the air mass sensor reading. But with a clogged filter, the air mass sensor is reading less air than is actually available after the filter. The engine compensates by injecting more fuel to maintain the fuel-air ratio. The engine starts running rich, using more fuel than it should. Running rich means incomplete combustion. The fuel-air mixture isn't balanced. You're burning fuel without enough oxygen to complete the reaction. Unburned fuel exits the combustion chamber and flows into the exhaust system. That unburned fuel condenses in the catalytic converter. Now you've got fuel coating the inside of your cat. That fuel vaporizes. Temperatures inside the cat spike. The catalyst material starts degrading. Eventually, you've got a partially clogged or damaged catalytic converter. Replacement cost? $800 to $2,500 depending on the vehicle. But the damage doesn't stop there. Unburned fuel also makes it past the piston rings into the crankcase oil. Fuel dilutes the oil. The oil's viscosity drops. Film strength decreases. Bearing surfaces that depend on that protective film start to wear faster. I've pulled oil samples from engines with clogged air filters and found fuel content as high as 5 to 8% of the oil volume. That's severe contamination. That oil can't protect properly. I had a customer with a 2017 Toyota Camry. He'd ignored his air filter for about 25,000 miles. It was so clogged you could barely see through it. The engine was running rough, fuel economy had dropped from 28 miles per gallon to 22, and the check engine light was on for multiple codes: oxygen sensor issues, catalytic converter efficiency, misfire codes. When I pulled the spark plugs, they were fouled with carbon and fuel residue. The plugs were only at 40,000 miles and should have been fine, but they were shot because the engine was running so rich. I pulled an oil sample. Fuel dilution was at 7%. The viscosity was down from the 5W30 specification to almost a 5W20 due to the fuel thinning it. I told the customer he needed an air filter replacement immediately. A full oil change to clear the fuel-contaminated oil, spark plug replacement, and a fuel system cleaning. The air filter was $30. The oil change was $80. The plugs were $150. The fuel system cleaning was $200. Total, about $460 to fix the damage caused by neglecting a $30 air filter. But here's the thing. The damage was already done. We cleaned the fuel system, replaced the plugs and oil, but the catalytic converter was already partially damaged. At 70,000 miles, that cat started showing efficiency codes again. Eventually, it needed replacement. A $30 neglected item turned into a $2,000 repair 2 years later. Let me show you what happens inside the engine with a clogged air filter over extended periods. The combustion process becomes inefficient. Incomplete burns leave residue on the piston tops. Carbon accumulates. That carbon creates hotspots. Hotspots cause pre-detonation, fuel igniting before the spark plug fires. Knock damages pistons, connecting rods, and bearings. Spark plugs wear faster because they're working harder to ignite fuel-rich mixtures. Oxygen sensors get confused by the irregular air-fuel ratios and start giving inconsistent readings. The engine computer can't properly adjust the mixture. More codes, more problems. Fuel economy drops significantly. You're burning more fuel to produce the same power because the mixture is off. Over a year of driving with a clogged filter, that wasted fuel could cost you hundreds of dollars. The $30 filter would have paid for itself in fuel savings alone. Here's the critical part. Most people don't replace air filters on schedule because they can't see when they're dirty. You don't feel a clogged air filter. There's no warning light until problems cascade. So people ignore them. They go 50,000 miles without changing one. By then, it's so clogged that it's restricting airflow significantly. Check your owner's manual. It specifies an air filter replacement interval. For most cars in normal conditions, that's somewhere between 15,000 and 30,000 miles. In dusty conditions, desert driving, unpaved roads, construction zones, the interval is shorter, maybe 10,000 to 15,000 miles. When you're within 2,000 miles of that interval, schedule a replacement. Don't wait for a warning light. The cost of an air filter is minimal, usually between $20 and $60 depending on the vehicle. The labor to replace it is minimal. Often the dealer or shop will do it free if you're there for other service. It's one of the cheapest maintenance items you can do. Here's what I recommend. Every time you get an oil change, ask the technician to inspect your air filter. They'll pull it out and hold it up to the light. If light passes through it easily, it's fine. If it looks dark and light barely comes through, it needs replacement. Don't go based on mileage alone. Some filters get clogged faster than others depending on your environment. If you drive in a dusty area, your filter will clog faster than someone driving in a clean area. Also, understand that cabin air filters and engine air filters are different. Some people confuse them. The cabin filter cleans air coming into the passenger compartment for your comfort. The engine air filter cleans air going into the engine for combustion. Both should be maintained, but the engine air filter is critical for engine health. Don't neglect it. I had another customer with a 2014 Honda CR-V. He was meticulous about oil changes every 5,000 miles, but he ignored air filters. At 80,000 miles, the filter had never been replaced. It was absolutely clogged. I asked him why. He said he didn't know it needed replacing. He thought it would last the life of the car or until the check engine light came on. That's a common misconception. We replaced the filter. He was shocked at how much cleaner the car ran. Fuel economy improved immediately, went from about 24 back to 27 miles per gallon. The rough idle disappeared. The check engine light codes cleared, all because of a dirty air filter. Now here's something most people don't think about. A partially clogged air filter doesn't trigger a warning light until it's severely restricting airflow. The oxygen sensors might throw a code. The catalytic converter efficiency might trigger a code. But the air filter code itself is rare. So people think there's no problem. The engine feels okay, but it's running rich. Damage is accumulating. The other issue is that air filters aren't always visible without opening the airbox. On some modern cars, the air filter is tucked under the dashboard or buried in the engine bay. You can't just look at it casually. You have to pull out the airbox, so people don't check them. They forget about them entirely. Here's what needs to happen. At your next oil change, ask the technician to inspect your air filter. Get them to show it to you if you want. If it looks dark or clogged, replace it. If it looks clean, you might be fine for another 5,000 to 10,000 miles. Mark your calendar for the recommended interval. When it's coming due, schedule the replacement before it becomes a problem. The damage a dirty air filter causes is insidious because it's invisible. You don't see your spark plugs wearing faster. You don't see your catalytic converter degrading. You don't see fuel contaminating your oil. You just notice the car feels slightly less efficient, fuel economy is down a bit, and maybe there's a rough idle. By the time symptoms are obvious, damage is already done. I've seen engines with 100,000 miles that look like they have 150,000 miles inside because of years of running on clogged air filters. The cylinder walls show more wear. The bearings show more play. The valve train shows more deposit buildup. All preventable with a $30 filter changed every 15,000 to 30,000 miles. Here's the bottom line. An air filter is one of the cheapest, easiest maintenance items you can do. It takes 5 minutes to replace. It costs less than a tank of gas, but neglecting it causes damage that costs thousands to repair. It's one of those maintenance items where prevention is exponentially cheaper than fixing the damage. Don't wait for a warning light. Don't wait for the car to run rough. Replace your air filter on schedule. Check it every oil change. If it looks clogged, replace it. It's the simplest insurance policy you can buy for your engine. What's your air filter situation? When was it last replaced? Do you even know? Drop a comment with your vehicle and your air filter maintenance history. I want to hear from people who've experienced the effects of a clogged air filter, or who've had to deal with the damage it causes. And if this showed you why air filter maintenance matters more than most people think, hit that like button. Next week, I'm breaking down the cooling system maintenance that's killing modern engines. Something you're probably not doing but absolutely should be. This one affects engine longevity more than people realize. If you're not subscribed, hit that button now. Drop a comment. I respond to everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.